Guys, the podcast is on Patreon, which means one thing and one thing only: extra content for a little bit of a subscription fee to help us out. For as little as £2 a month, you can get bonus content, early access to the podcast, question rights. So the questions that we ask on this podcast are only collected and collated from Patreon. As well as that, you get bonus content like vlogs, see what we're doing behind the scenes, stand-up specials are on there, and plenty more, all for as little as £2 a month. So if you want to help us grow this podcast, support the Patreon and follow the link in the description of this podcast and subscribe today. The Sly Guy podcast is brought to you very proudly in association with Visual Antics Apparel. Look at this glorious hoodie that I'm wearing right now. Yes, it's a little bit creased because I had it folded and I didn't iron it, but it'll iron on because that's the quality of threads that Visual Antics provide us with. Not only quality threads, quality content, quality material, it's just a beautiful design. The Sly Guy podcast is a gorgeous logo, one that I love, and even if I didn't do this podcast, I would listen to it and go, hey, I want to get me some of that merch. And you can get yourself merch at visualanticsapparel.com or by just jumping straight onto the link in the description of this podcast. Not only that, but you can get 10% off your Sly Guy podcast merchandise by using the discount code SLYGUY10 at checkout. So it's beautiful threads, wide range of choices, hoodies, caps, different logos, this logo, maybe even some ceramics down the line. 10% off, SLYGUY10 at visualanticsapparel.com. Name a better duo than the Sly Guy podcast and Modest Beer. I don't know, but Modest Beer is the official beer of this podcast. It's been formed right here in Hollywood, County Down, and it's now being brewed and shipped and distributed from Bangor by the Sea, the number one place to be. And if you want to check out what Modest have got, you can go on their website, modestbeer.co.uk, and just check out everything from merch to beers. You can even sign up to their brews letter to keep abreast of all Modest news right in your email. And you want a wee Brucey bonus, a wee dirty discount? You can get 15% off with the discount code SLYPA15 at checkout. That's SLYPA15 at checkout for all your Modest needs.
I'm the Sly Guy.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people who identify however they identify? You're welcome to this podcast with open arms, no matter who you are. There's no prejudice here, only love. Welcome to another episode of the Sly Guy podcast. I want to know, first and foremost, who are these new guys that are listening to the podcast? Where he's coming from? And if you haven't already, why haven't you hit subscribe wherever it is you listen? Really helps the podcast, whether that be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or indeed, if you like to watch the wee visual podcasts on YouTube, you hit a wee subscribe there and you'll get this podcast into your ears and into your eyes every Thursday. Thank you for jumping on board. Thank you for the new listeners. Thank you for the traditional, the OG listeners, the original Slyhards, the Rider Slies. I appreciate that. And everyone jumping on the Patreon too. Thank you. And if this is the first time tuning in, what an episode to jump in on. This is just a great time. This particular guest I've got today, who you will know because you read the description, he's an icon of Northern Irish comedy. He's an icon of comedy in general. He is one of actually my favourite stand-ups to watch, but don't tell him that. And he is just a great guy on and off the stage, albeit he does slander me too much with fake news about illegal activities that I do not partake in, so don't listen to that. But apart from that, it's a fun episode with a great man, the one and only Mr. Tim McGarry. So guys, pour yourselves a little cup of coffee, put the feet up, light a cigar if you're a fucking idiot, and enjoy the episode. Well, Tim, welcome to the podcast. How are you keeping?
Thank you very much. Thank you for the lovely coffee.
Yes, well listen, you have to keep hydrated.
Nothing.
I don't know, it gets to this time of the day, Tim, it's a bit late for a coffee now. It's
No,
it's the afternoon.
I drink coffee all day, every day. I drink coffee.
How many coffees do you drink?
I drink about 6 or 7 cups a day. I love coffee. Yeah.
What way do you have it?
Well, I have all sorts of different types. I got filtered coffee at home that we do in the percolator thing.
That's right.
Yeah, swanky coffee. Have a couple of those in the morning before we get up. Then when I'm out and about, always like a coffee to hand. Yeah.
I mean, I could have made you coffee, but I thought
no, you don't put yourself out, Dave. You're all right.
No, see, I'm one of these guys because I'm trying to be good. I'm just drinking water. Everyone else must suffer with me.
Fine.
It's not a fair system.
You hydrate away.
Yes,
don't worry
I will
about
hydrate
me.
and keep. And I would one coffee. I'm trying to limit my coffees to 2 a day because I would be too much of a coffee person, and it's
Yeah.
gets me wide-eyed and crazy.
Well, I'm trying to stop. I used to smoke a lot. I used to smoke, and I have coffee and fag, and now I can drink coffee without a cigarette. In fact, I did a tour there recently, and I hardly smoked the entire tour.
And have you done? Because obviously a lot of people now are switching over to vapes. So do you consider that, or is that not?
No, old school, Dave. Smoke or don't smoke. Stop
Yeah.
faffing around.
Yeah, I don't understand the vapes.
Oh,
I don't know.
it's strawberry and melon. No, that's not smoking. No, it should be lung cancer and phlegm. That's what you want.
Can you get vapes that taste like smoke, like normal
I don't
cigarettes?
know. It's a
can you?
good
Yeah, 'cause
marketing
that's what
tool.
I-
Did you ever smoke? Did you?
No, I never did. I have never been good at smoking. I've
Right.
like, been asthmatic for a long time.
All right.
And
But you
then
should give it a go, Dave. It's
yeah,
it's
you know,
good
there's
for the weight loss. You know that.
Yeah, we've heard that.
The models swear by it. That smoking and heroin apparently you look
Yeah.
fantastic after.
yeah. Well, I actually I was saying to Colin on last week's podcast actually that I did an audition for a role as a heroin drug dealer, and they said the audition was great, but you don't fit the you don't have the look. So yeah, so I had to just go.
That
All right.
hungry look is that what you mean?
So it was-
Lean.
it didn't fit it, but yeah, I don't know. I always like the idea of it. There's always a romanticism about smoking, and you see all the cool movie
Yeah.
stars doing it, and I just don't think it's as cool to vape. You know, when you're
No, you just look a bit
candy
pathetic,
floss.
don't you?
Yeah, I think that it's sort of associated with the kind of guys who are maybe like mid-20s. They drive it. They have like a beard, but it only goes under here, and
Yeah.
their girlfriend goes to school. It's that sort of way. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
it's not a cool combination.
I do quite a few corporate gigs, and the best place to meet people and find out what's really happening is the smoking area, because you find out the people who are still a wee bit rebellious go, I don't care that 99% of people have given up smoking, I'm still going for it. But you also find out the biz and the crack and stuff like that. You can
That's
do-
really a bit of a gossip.
It's
isn't it?
it's a very sociable area. It's a very sociable thing to do, to smoke.
But then, whenever you obviously for years have smoked and been in that environment, do you still just go out and
Occasionally,
passively
yeah,
smoke
no,
and just
yeah.
stick to the biz?
I miss it.
Yeah.
I do still miss it. Because I mean, smoking is fun until the bit where you the cancer ward and stuff, which isn't great. It's
No.
not great.
No.
By the way, don't smoke, people. It's a very bad thing to do. It's the stupidest
Yeah.
thing you'll ever do.
But
I
then-
started when I was very young. So.
But is it okay now? Because I remember, like, obviously back in the day, all my grandparents smoked. My grand actually, he died of lung cancer. Both my grand, the double, both of them that got it and died. So then my family were like, oh no, it'll kill you. And my mum's very matter of fact. She'd be like, and you've enough to worry about anyway. You know, I don't think you need to add to the list of blood pressure, everything
You
else.
want that popping into the top 10, Dave? Do you?
No, you don't need it. So there's always that element of it. But yeah, I definitely still think there's an element. Like any time I have smoked, it's not gone well.
Yeah.
I've always got very lightheaded. You
Yeah.
know, and if you're having a drink, you feel like you're more
Well,
pissed.
I mean,
quicker.
it is associated with smoking. That's how I never really did drugs of any shape, apart from smoked a bit of dope when I was very young, along with young. That was a long time ago. The cops are probably not going to chase me now.
You don't know. They might be after you for something. That could be the one. The straw.
No, the worst thing it did nothing for me, dope, apart from it got me on addicted to fucking nicotine and people rolling joints and stuff like that. So that's
Right,
how
okay.
I got into smoking, and it's stupid. Don't
No.
do it, kids.
No, I've had a couple of experiences with, and it's never been good. It's
Yeah.
never. My very first one, I was about 16, and I was at a mate of mine's brother's 18th. So him and all his bad boy friends were there, and I mean that as in they were bad, not like bad boys. You know what I mean? Like they were with all the girls. No, they were, and they gave me a joint. They're like, how you smoke a joint is you have to try and get it all in one go.
Yeah.
So like you have to go until it's right down to the bottom. So I ended up having the guts of one joint and two goes, and
Right.
as a young impressionable drunk already, asthmatic, it wasn't good. I spent the remainder of the party lying face down in the front garden.
Yeah.
Just
But when I
dead
was
sick.
16, I had mates who used to do hot knives. Did you ever hear of hot knives?
was that the stuff that they
Yeah,
cut?
you put the bottle, you take the bottom of a bottle, and then you get two knives, and you put the bit of dope on it, and they go, and you suck it all up into. And I didn't partake in this, but I went, I hung around with guys who did, and I went, it's not for me.
No, I mean that wouldn't be cool in a smoking area either. Having to do all that would be a bit much. Like,
Well, I remember being older. I was at the Glastonbury Festival in 1983. That's 1983.
Wow.
And they had hot knife stands. Where they literally, it was open, like it was so open, I presume it still is now. I haven't been to Glastonbury since 1983 because UB40 played and put me off. And I'm just scared they might still be playing when they go back. But they were literally openly hot now. You paid a couple of quid to get a
And it was just like second-hand bottles, or did they have proper bottles made for it? Or was it like a contraption they had?
No, I think they were Tyrone Crystal. I think they were.
Like original bombs?
Yeah. No, they weren't terribly clean.
No.
Neither were the knives, or indeed the people in Glastonbury in 1983, because it was a bit mucky back in those days. This was pre your glamping and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
This was tents and mucky fields.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's a lot of that going on back those. And would you consider that to be the good old days? Was that fun memories of Glastonbury? Or you're like, oh no, it was.
Oh no, I loved it. No, I loved it. There was about 9 of us in a battered old van that went down from Wales. As a mate of mine was studying in Wales at the time, and we went down to Glastonbury. Had an absolute ball. After 3 days of kind of, yes, it was Harry Christian. It was only about 60,000 people in those days.
Okay.
What is it now? Is it
mild.
250,000 or something now? Isn't it?
Oh, it's bung.
It's a bit like Edinburgh Festival. We went to Edinburgh early, mid to late 80s.
Back when it meant something.
Back when it meant something, young man. Well, we played the Pleasance Theatre. We played the Pleasance 2, it was called then. It was a tent, basically. And there were basically 3 venues at the Pleasance. There was the Cabaret Bar, the Pleasance Theatre itself, and the tent, which was the third one. I was at the Edinburgh Festival there a couple of years ago, and the Pleasance alone has about 115 venues in the Pleasance alone.
Yeah, in the building, yeah.
In the building and around it, and it's, this studio would be this is a 50-seater venue here. This is,
yeah.
And it was good to see, but at the same time, this is just too big.
Yeah,
this is too mad.
Like no, because I haven't been in a few years, and I don't know. I remember the first time I went with my sketch group FNT at the time, and I thought, this is it. We'll have a good run, and that's all we need. We'll just be forever. We'll be off to SNL. We'll be off to the movies.
Yeah.
Idiots, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think, out of that group, maybe I think 4 of us are still working within within comedy. So it was Diona was in the group, Aaron Butler, myself, and Mark McElroy were all part of it. And it was a great experience. Away for the month, off work for the month, great.
Oh no, we had a brilliant time.
Loved
We had a
it.
brilliant day. We went 3 times. First time was awful. There was a guy. There was 12 of us, and we were kind of just students having a laugh and taking the piss out of ourselves. Until a reviewer came and saw the show and told people not to go because it was terrible. So
That'll bring you to earth, won't it?
But it was one of those seminal moments in our career, because genuinely the theatre manager, a guy called Christopher Richardson, long gone, I'm sure. Christopher, lovely guy, but he got a bunch of Scottish comedians called the Bodgers, who subsequently became absolutely Jack Doherty and all that, Maury Hunter. Jack Doherty.
Heard of Jack Doherty's name before, yeah.
Jack Doherty, police squad, or police, what do you call the one in Scotland? That
Thingy Squad.
Mark McElroy's.
Oh, what is that called? Scott Squad.
Scott Squad.
Yes, there you go.
He's the inspector in that.
Yes.
And he was in a sketch group called the Bodgers, who did very, very well. And the theatre manager told them to come down and watch our show and give us advice. And they very kindly, these guys came down and said, as gently as they could, we were a bit shit.
Yeah.
Which we knew, because people were walking out, and they shouldn't really walk out in the middle of your show, especially as it's only an hour. People were literally walking out going, this is off. And they were very kind, and they came down and said, look, there's 12 years on stage. Clearly 6 years are here for a piss up and don't really want to be here. B, you're doing bad Monty Python impressions, which we were. See, they said now the thing they said, look, you do some stuff about Northern Ireland and you're talking your own voices, and that's the bit that we're most interested in and seem to be the funniest. Do stuff about what you know. Yeah. And take it seriously or fuck away off.
And were you doing all accents and everything at the time?
I can't do accents. I was doing bad Monty Python. we did sort of sub Monty, because that's what we were brought up on, that sort of stuff, Dave. Not that I clocked using Python and things like that, late 70s, early 80s. So we thought, well, that's comedy, The only comedy here was Jimmy Young, which is...
Well, still, some people go back to him now, even watching it. It's sort of coming back, the archive stuff's coming out and the work. But no, I think it's a good basis, though, isn't it, starting in sketch? I always think, it's a good sort of way to get into it. And I think that was a big eye-opener, I think, for me, going to do the Edinburgh Festival. Be like, this is not how it works. People don't where our venue was. We were right at the top of the mile where the castle is. Yeah. In a paid venue right beside the castle, bang on, same show start time as the tattoo. So it was an awful time trying to get people up. So, half of us had the time of our life, and then the other half just were like depressed, didn't bring enough money. It was it was those memories now. And I think it hardens you to go and enjoy Edinburgh, but also now it's just so dear. Yeah. It's so dear. And it's not
we
really
were very lucky. We the second year we went, or the third year we came up with a good title for the show, which basically paid for the show because we sold out 100-seater theatre on the basis of the title, which was Everything You Want to Know About Northern Ireland But We're Too Terrorised to Ask.
Oh yes, that's excellent.
The Python, the Woody Allen thing, and it sold out. Didn't make a penny, but we kind of covered the costs and got a. But we had a ball. We just absolutely loved it. It was still small enough. You could go to 3 or 4 venues, see big names. We saw Eddie Izzard. We saw Frank Skinner very, very early. Frank Skinner. We saw Harry Hill, sort of theatre with about 50 people in it, so all sorts of people. Also saw some shit. My partner at the time insisted we went to see a thing called, based on the life of Christopher Marlowe, the playwright, right? And not
like the Dr. Morrow.
No, Christopher Marlowe, the Elizabethan playwright. Round about the same time as Shakespeare, round about that time anyway. There were about 12 of us in the group, and the girlfriends and people over. They went to see a band called the Honkin' Hepcats, and this is in the Pleasance, because we were the Pleasance and girlfriend go to see the life of Christopher Marlowe. There's about 12 people in the life of Christopher Marlowe, but then suddenly, and it's a really shit piece. It's an awful piece. It's all about homosexuality and explicit. And I don't mean that means it's a bad thing. It was a shit play, but it was about wanking and stuff like that, and shagging, and all we could hear was, and it was very deep and meaningful and quiet, and there was about 12 people in the audience, and half of them left, and all we could hear during the play was and then halfway through, or every 3 minutes, people going, yeah, yeah, yeah. And we were in this theatre, because we sat too close to the front, we thought, we can't leave until this fucking thing is over.
And are they still on the rip now, those guys?
The Honkin' Hepcats, I don't know if they are or not, but they were.
If anyone from the Honkin' Hepcats are listening, please reach out.
Couldn't get, and then after that terrible experience, we tried to get tickets for the Honkin' Hepcat, but they were all sold out, so we never got to see the Honkin' Hepcats.
I know, it's such a weird, but in a very strange turn of events, there was a double act who were on directly after us, older, I say older women, at the time, their oldest probably in their 30s, I was only in my early 20s at the time, and I remember one of them was very, sort of flirtatious with us, behind the curtain. She's like, oh, you're a big brawn man, big man, and all that, stop it, and I thought, this is great, and it was a lot of fun to have a wee bit of attention at that age. It was nice, and then she turned out, years later, to get married to the notorious Charles Bronson.
Charles, what?
Yeah, the prisoner. Yeah, so we saw what they were like. Obviously, we whenever we were at the time followed them on Twitter, would have been back at the time, and we're like, what are they up to now? And the next time I saw her years later was, oh, this woman's marrying Charles Bronson. And I was like, well, that's a she does like a big boy, so it was
right. So you missed the bullet there, then.
Yeah, I mean, I think, but that was always the memory go away, because they were called, I can't remember what the troupe were called, but they were very sort of body, sort of absolutely fabulous, but a bit more X-rated, I would say. And before us was a very it was a serious play with a guy who was just in great shape, full naked the whole, and I don't get what it was. We had to see it one day because they're like, oh, come and see our show. Because they're on after us. We're like, yeah. We're sitting there going, oh, we talk this dude every day, and I didn't know he did this. Wow. And he's just rolling, writhing around, covering himself in paint and all. It was
there was a lot of that. There was one we were young and naive students, and we were brought into the Pleasance PR place, and there was a guy dressed in full drag as Marilyn Monroe, and the PR person says, "Dead Marilyn, this is Hole in the Wall, dead Marilyn." That was a show. He was dead. Did a show as Marilyn Monroe back from the dead.
Yeah. There
was Moriarty and the People in Grey, which is one of the worst shows I've ever seen. And they were so bad. They were hilariously bad. Yeah. the Pleasance basically told them to stop charging people in. They still couldn't attract an audience. People in grey, nothing to say. Is a guy on an organ, and guys with masks come in and tried to look meaningful and stuff. And then there were things that were fucking brilliant. And you go, what the hell? The Bodgers who were talking about this sketch group that became Absolutely and stuff were just brilliant. And we were dickheads. We were doing props and costumes and signs and this, that, and the other. And they were 5 guys in t-shirts and stuff. And used the entire theatre, used the back of the theatre, ran around the place. Didn't need props, didn't need introductions, And now give us a wee minute. We'll be back here with another sketch. And you just go, we were such idiots.
Yeah, that it reminds me very much at the time. Foil Arms and Hog were just starting out, and we were sort of they were like, oh, there's another sketch group, and we're like, oh, and we were the shite ones, and they were obviously
they are jolly good.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
They are jolly good. And they don't do any telly at all. They never do.
But their tours are always sold out immediately, and worldwide, like they would do it. But it's just that thing with the Fringe that you it's so hard to know how to react to anything because there was one show we had a couple of friends come over and we went to see the show that one of my friends had heard. It's supposed to be funny, it was a wee bit risque, whatever, and he was there with his girlfriend and brought her and I went out with the two of them. We watched the show, and the final piece was where this woman puts a sparkler up her bum and does some sort of dance with it.
Oh, I've seen that.
And
genuinely seen it.
Yeah, but when it ended, it was that moment where she went, thank you, took the sparkler out and then picked up a bucket and stood at the back door to be like, it's just like, this is a weird thing. Like, there should be a buffer between that, like put a wee dressing gown on or something. And
No.
And we've seen way too much. So, and then you're like, well, we're going to have to tip you a lot because, sparklers aren't cheap. But it was a strange show. And
what was there was another show, creative. I can't remember, but I remember its tagline. I can't remember the name of the show, and it had a big poster. We were in a sort of theatre. It was a bit rough, and it had this show, and its tagline was "The Ultimate Mind Fuck." And you go, that's a good tagline. Yeah. That is a good tagline. And we kept meaning to try and get and see this show, but for whatever you clashed with our shit, we never got to see The Ultimate Mind Fuck.
Because you might be the man you are today if you'd
exactly,
seen that.
If I'd seen that, I could have gone back to the law, Dave. I've seen The Ultimate Mind Fuck. I now need to do conveyancing for the rest of my life. And road traffic accidents.
The ultimate. But I love it. And I do like going, but then like I think now, for me personally, to justify going for an entire month.
Well, I'm very lucky. I had a mate who lived in my mate and his wife lived in Edinburgh. We were there a couple of years ago. It was a brilliant time. And in fact, tomorrow night going to see a play called Mara, which he reckoned he saw in Edinburgh the first time. It's a one-woman play in a tiny wee theatre, and he said this is fucking brilliant. It's a one-woman play about homelessness.
Oh, I thought it was about Mara Hindley, maybe.
No, not. But apparently, and it's this since he mentioned it about 3 or 4 years ago. It's just grown and grown and grown. Broadway, West End, yada yada. Selling out the Opera House for a week, so we're actually going to see it tomorrow. The show that he first saw in Edinburgh. So Edinburgh, and, it is still a testing ground and all that sort of stuff.
But then, in terms of obviously, I'm gonna die.
Don't die on the podcast.
I took too much water.
I'm here.
I tried to hydrate too much, and then I just hydrated directly to my lungs. Pardon me. But in terms of the validity and value of going to Edinburgh now, do you think it's lost a wee bit of the?
I think it has.
It's just so dear now.
Well, Neil Delamere goes and he sells out wherever he goes, but he sells out a couple of hundred seaters theatres. He said it's just can't make money, and there's so many acts that it's just impossible to get to anybody, and comedy's changed dramatically. You don't really need TV executives anymore to come and tell you you're wonderful, you're discovered, I'm going to give you a Channel 4 series. You go, well, do I need a Channel 4 series? We've got a podcast here and I've got a tour organised next year.
See, that is the thing. It's sort of, you have a strange, because there is obviously the quote unquote old media that still matters a lot. I still think, although the new, like if you're just wanting to sell tickets and things, but then there's just sort of crossover, whether you want to do TV work, you want to do acting, you want to, it's sort of, but I do think that the whole, I think the hanging the carrot above you to be like, oh, you have to impress these people, that's changed. I think that's the thing where you can sort of still make a living. Like you've Paul Smith, who's obviously one of the biggest touring comedians in the country at the minute, doing arenas all the time, never on the TV or never in any of that. And
Doesn't
And it's
need it.
strange, yeah, but you still want it, though. You want people to know you're great. You're great. I like you.
You are on TV, Mr. Blue Lights.
Well, yeah, but I can't say if I'm back.
I can't say if you're back
I don't
or
know
not.
if I'm back. I don't know.
But
if I'm
yeah,
back
you
or
don't
not.
know if you're back.
I don't know if I'm back
He's
or not.
back, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I'm signing an NDA.
Same character or the...
Maybe.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I may or may not be wearing a hat and not shave my beard or hair because of a creative decision. But who knows?
I went up for a part and didn't get it. But I want you to know I'm not bitter. Not bitter at all. Congratulations to you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Well-known actor, Dave Elliott.
But I am a serious actor too.
That's it.
I always find that's a weird thing, like because Catherine will sort of be like, if you get an audition, she'd be like, but you're not. I'm like, but then we have to learn, don't we? We have to try, feel the characters and be in the moment.
It's the craft.
And it's, that's it. And it's I like to do.
I hate actors who talk about the craft.
And it's like, this is what you have
Say
to
the
do.
words and don't bump into the furniture.
And pretend. It's just pretending, isn't it? Especially when
How
you're...
hard can it be?
Yeah. And it's like, I remember there was one of the earlier things I did back whenever I was in the sketch group. There was a movie and there was an actor in it who, I think he's doing all right now, but he's like, I remember my first impression of him being, what a twat. You know, he was just like, he wouldn't talk to anybody.
Right.
And this was it was just short. There was no budget to it, but he was sitting in the corner and he was like refusing to speak to people. And then there was a girl brought him a tea and he was like, go away. And I was like, what a twat. This is what acting is? Nah. Yeah. You know, felt like going over and just tickling him, cheer up you, would you? You know, I think, you're just sort of pretending, aren't you? And hoping that you can pull it off, but it's great fun and it's a nice change.
Well, most of the actors I know, there are a few wankers out there, but most of the actors we know have been very good, very nice and easy going stuff. And it is a tough business. The rejection, if you're a full-time actor, when you have comedy and podcasts and all sorts of things, if you're a full-time actor, you spend your time doing videos at home. Yeah. That you don't even get any feedback from anybody going that was good, bad, or different, or could you try it this way? You just send it in and then you never hear anything. I mean, at least in the old days you had like doing an audition, there were real people looking at you and going, all right.
Yeah, and you can tell, you can. But that was always like I always hated in-person auditions. I think with self-tapes you can be a bit freer because you don't feel that you're like, if you are being judged, it's not directly in front of your face, you know. So if you are being a wee bit over the top, people can go like, oh. But if you're doing it in a room, it's like, sorry about that was a bit, you know, a bit much. Yeah. But I had to do an in-person audition about a couple of months ago, and the casting director and director were in there, and they were all like, just go, okay, and did it. And afterwards, like, that was great. And then eventually I did hear back from it, and my agent was like, some great news, some good news, and some bad news. I was like, okay, well, what's the bad news? Well, you didn't get it. That's the bad news. And I was, well, what's the great news? He goes, you were in the top 2. So if he had turned it down, I went, oh, that's right. That means nothing to me, you know. Yes. I'll take that to the mortgage payment, will I?
Exactly.
You know, it's
hello Tesco. Can I have get some groceries based on I was top 2?
I know and they were like, but you know, because again, I'm very new to it and trying to do as much as I can and learn, but. It was just like, oh, I mean, I'm not really excited about being, you know, it's, but is there anything else that could like shoehorn me into? But it's, and that's the thing, is the beauty of doing comedy or stand up and writing and acting, is you can kind of fit into different things.
Well,
and
stand up
it's nice.
Acting as well.
Yeah. And that's it. Like, would you consider yourself still on tour, or have you added another date to your ridiculous
well, the
tour?
Give Me a Head Peace tour just finished there the end of March. We did 28 shows of that, and then I'm doing a one-off of the we're going to call it something else. Ridiculous tour.
Yes.
Ridiculous.
I was going to have to correct you in your own tour.
You corrected you. You could have corrected because you very kindly opened up for me for quite a few gigs.
And I did support as well.
Yeah, hey! More coffee for Dave Elliott. And so I'm doing a last one on the Sunday the 27th of April, because we sold out the Lyric for 2 nights during the run, and they said, oh, do you want to come back? And I thought, that'd be quite nice. So I'm doing a last one, 70 minutes, talking about me dad and stuff like that.
But it's a great show, like I'm obviously not just saying, but it was a great show. I enjoyed doing the support and watching it and how it came along, and it was great fun to see. And like you hear obviously rumours about, at the minute, the way things are, people seem to be doing a tour like every year with a new show, and this was your first show in a few years, wasn't it?
8 years. 8 years, I haven't done one, and Normally I have them themed around history or politics and stuff like that, but I really, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. And I hadn't done one in ages. I thought, this is going to be crap. And, you know, it wasn't exactly SSE Arena Celtics, but it was lovely where, you know, just to get up and say, I can do 70 minutes on my own, you know.
Yeah.
And,
but it was a great show, and obviously with it, the fact you're going back to doing other lyrics, a great
that's
thing.
nice. So yeah, hopefully it'll sell out. 27th of April, Sunday the 27th.
Tickets will be in the
and then between
description
that, we've doing
podcast.
podcasts and stuff. And by the way, really enjoyed your parenting show.
Oh,
were you happy with it?
Yes, it came out. It came out really well. I mean,
to be honest, I only listened to mine. The others I couldn't be bothered.
Yeah,
No,
of
it was that.
No, it was.
But see that show. Your kids are lovely.
Yeah, they come across well. You know,
They
they
do.
have to. And then, I mean, it was either that or else they didn't get fed. So you need to do this. I'm not going to give you any more money. But it was something that it took. You know, I think everyone involved in making it would have said it took too long to make. There was a lot. We still had to kind of figure out the direction of it from the beginning. But we started in around November time and just finished a couple of weeks ago. So, I loved the whole process of it, and I think it was good. Again, I wanted to do a parenting podcast that's kind of honest. Yeah. You know, and have a bit of crack, but be realistic as well. Yeah. Yes, it's great, but also it's a bloody nightmare in equal measure. Yeah. Whereas I think, you know, the world nowadays with a lot of things, I think where it's social media, it's all the same kind of everyone's brilliant. You need to be like me. I'm perfect. But
I love my kids. They're so wonderful. Look how they've done.
I'm like, you're a spoofer. You know? You should be able to come up and go, you know what? My kids are shit, but I love them. You know, it's fine.
100%.
You should be able to go. Not that mine are, but you
should.
No,
not that mine are either. You know? My kids are lovely, and you know, of course they could be. Two of them couldn't play football. Oh, see, it's a big disappointment. You know,
not at all. But they're big football fans.
Well, the big football, very big football fans. The younger one was actually the better footballer, but you could walk past him. He had no pace. Lovely footballer and on the ball, great passer of the ball, lovely, quite a good tackler as well, which is no pace. No. And the older one said that his football career peaked when he was 11. No, very luckily, and there's a photograph that I have, and he was very, very lucky. He was 11 years old. He's playing for Cliftonville under 11s. And there's a brilliant photograph of his peak moment as a footballer. He was 11 years old. They were losing 2-0. He scored the equalising goal in literally the 90th minute or whatever. They didn't play the 90 minutes. And there genuinely happened to be a professional photographer there, just following loads of different matches and it just happened to click. My son wheeling away after scoring a second goal. And it's like it's like a Victorian painting or something. It's just beautiful. My son is, you know, he's huge fear running away. There's a guy running after him with one of his team who's the biggest, broadest smile in the face. Mm-hmm. The goalkeeper of the opposition team is lying in the mud. The ball is in the back of the net. There's an opposition player who's looking despairing. There's two other players of my son's team running after Joseph, and it's just one of those where you go, I mean, that was just beautifully captured, and that to be sadly was the peak of it. So, so we never got to earn £500,000 a year or be earning, but it's perfect, and you just go, that is just beautiful. You'll have that memory forever. You know?
And then you have it framed up somewhere in the house. Do you have it?
Yeah.
See, that's what you want. That's the my eldest daughter is a dancer. She's into dance, and she's shown interest in that. The wee one, I think, is more sorted to the dojo. I think she's more maybe of a violent type, mixed martial artist, you know, that sort of way. But my eldest is a dancer, and that's lovely. Yeah. When you get to watch her dancing, I love it. The pride is.
I've heard about your daughter dancing. I've heard about that.
Yeah, she's good.
You talk about it in stand up.
Yeah, but that's embellished. But her real dancing is. But the only thing with it is you don't just go to watch her dance. You know, you have to then watch the hundreds of other people, the other dance schools, the other style of dance, hip hop dancing. That's just not for me. I don't. No. I see the kids coming in with wee faces. I was like, oh no, piss off. And then you're sitting there.
I'm going to be kneecap.
I'm sitting there watching, and I look how I look. I can't change. That's why I'm sitting there like this. I just look like either there's something wrong with me or I'm a big perv. You know, it's either that
or a hip hop producer. I would have said.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not as enthused enough. You know. And I remember we went to a birthday party with her once, and the activity was they had a guy in to do hip hop dance with the kids. Now, he was a man in his 20s, a white man in his 20s, carrying on very much in a way where he had, I think, culturally appropriated the entire hip hop scene. He was very like, he was giving the hand movements. He was, and I was sort of going, I don't know if it's yours to do. Really, it was very. It was just a strange thing to see, and all these little kids doing it.
I'm afraid I'm slightly too old to know the difference. What's it? Hip hop and rap, are they different? Rap, I mean,
I think
are they culturally appropriating black people's music? I think.
Well, I mean, I think that you could. I struggle a wee bit with cultural appropriation because I think if any people or race or creative people create something that's good, other people should be able to enjoy it.
But all the creativity is judicious plagiarism. Somebody said there's no such thing as originality. Everybody's nicking off everybody else, whether it's Elvis or whether.
But even that's what they say. No, so and so invented this, and like, but actually it was invented in China years before, and they're like, well, you know, it's all. But I honestly do not know the difference. I believe hip hop is like a culture, and rap's a type of. It's a. You know, I think rap is just
hip hop's cultural, right?
Yeah, like hip hop might just be involved, like the. I'd like to. You know what, Tim? Excuse me. I'm going to Google the difference between rap and hip hop. Now, I didn't think this was going to end up going down here, but we're figuring it out.
I went to see the Kneecap movie. I think you were at the. Were you at the?
We were, yes.
The premiere. There was an awful lot of taking of substances that shouldn't be taken.
No, those guys
legally.
Like it.
Those guys genuinely like that, and Jerry Adams in the middle of it too.
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
with
was
a cameo.
Yeah, that was something to see.
That was something to see because in my day, those boys, you know,
he would have been. He would have certain members of allegedly his community and whatnot wouldn't have liked that.
Yes. Kneecap will be wheelchair bound. Yeah,
yes, Kneecap by name.
There was an awful lot of that, but bizarrely, that I thought the best thing about the film was I quite liked the music.
Yeah,
genuinely sort of, and I had no knowledge would have gone. Oh, yeah, I can see why that.
But it's
I can
catchy.
see why that's
like it is
catchy and fun, and I could why they would like that. And you know, obviously, I love hip hop and rap as much as the next 60-year-old man, but I genuinely thought that was the best bit of the film.
Well, this is something I think we could probably say is an exclusive. Tim McGarry's a fan of Kneecap, hip hop and rap. Yeah,
absolutely.
Maybe I can see you when he's parties doing a bit of hip hop. But here's the term: hip hop and rap are often used interchangeably.
I knew that.
Hip hop is a culture. It's a broader movement that originated in the 70s in the Bronx, New York. It includes MC, which is like rapping, DJing, breakdancing, and graffiti art. Whereas rap is just the music. So hip hop is DJing. Rap is
just talking to music rather than singing to music.
There's a Cardinal Burns sketch, and I think it's one of my favorite sketches I've ever seen, which is parodying the rap scene where it's like a London underground sort of really grimy rap scene, and these guys are smoking, looking intimidating, and they're saying all these things like, and then in the rap battle this other character comes in, he's like a 70s New York style, and he just rhymes words, 1, 2, I'll buckle my shoe, and it's just a very I go, what even, it's a great sketch, but it's so good. But yeah, I think even now, and this is maybe a sign, like I used to like rap music when I was a teenager, which is going back 25 years.
These are words I'd never thought I would say out loud. Wet ass pussy. You saw who sings that?
I think it was Cardi B.
There was a brilliant stand-up routine by an American guy, who did a thing about that song, and the fact that "Baby It's Cold Outside" was more or less cancelled by the American because it was allegedly encouraging sexual inappropriate activity. And what he does is he reads the lyrics to "Baby It's Cold Outside" and "Wet Ass Pussy," which, surprising, is not banned and is seen as a great hit and blah blah blah. And it's a very funny routine. I can't remember the name of the comedian, but you go, what sort of is it we living in? "Baby It's Cold Outside." I know, it's like, I mean, there's a bit of a hint to that, but this is blatant as far as you get. And actually, on that song, whenever it came about, I told my dad about it, and he was more confused, not about the content or what the song or the title was. He thought it was split, so he didn't think it was "Wet Ass Pussy." He thought it was a wet ass pussy. He thought an ass pussy was a new thing. He's like, what are people, what is that? Is that a thing? I don't know. I'm sort of closer to your age than these kids that are listening to this now, Dad. I don't know. And he goes, I've never heard that an ass pussy before. Is that a and I, no, Dad, I don't know. Stop going on. Well, you see, I mean, it's one of those songs, and I remember seeing it the first time, but it did the rounds. I went, what? I became my not just my father, my grandfather. Go, what the hell is happening to the world here? This young lady can sing these lyrics.
But then it's that balance, isn't it, where
and
people are going, you can say what you want, but also
Yeah.
you don't.
No, I
You
appreciate
can,
there's an
but
issue of consent and stuff like that,
Uh-huh.
but at the same time, baby, it's cold outside, where people go, oh no, you couldn't possibly play that.
Because there was a song in the early noughties called "My Neck, My Back." I don't know if you heard that. Again, I didn't think we'd have this conversation.
Is this about lumbago? Is it?
There's a follow on. So she sings about, it's called "Lick My Neck, My Back, Lick My Pussy and My Crack."
Right.
So then that was the Sim sort of vibe as Wet Ass Pussy was.
Right.
And whenever it first came out, I remember my first thought being, yes, I get that but surely that's not going to be nice for anyone. Like, you have a very dry tongue. If you lick anything too much, it's like, and like the crack, I don't know, I thought it was all a bit too much for me.
No.
And I just think
I don't know how this became a Shane Todd podcast.
No.
All of a sudden it's smut and filth.
But it's not. I think what we're doing is we're just intelligently looking.
Yes,
at where the state
of modern culture.
Now. Yes.
Because I was saying it before I saw Adolescence, and I don't know if you've seen it. I thought I went, nah. All right, and see if they're getting that, but
because I've heard people say it should be in schools. People should watch it. What is the gist? Because we haven't watched it.
Oh, you're not the gist.
We have the old the marital debate that anything I suggest. Oh, should we watch this? And Catherine goes, "Oh, I don't want to be sad now." And then she's like, "I think that'd be sad." Or the old classic, "I don't want to have to think." So when you get to a certain point of the evening, the kids are just in bed. It's like, just put on Fred Seriak's Cycling Around Ireland. That'll do me. We'll watch that. And with Adolescence, I feel like it's going to be something I'll watch maybe in bits when I get home from a gig at night before I go to bed, a wee bit of it. But what's the gist of it?
Well, the gist of it is that there's a 13-year-old boy who's murdered somebody.
On purpose or accidentally?
Yeah, and it's all to do with the fact that kids have access to phones, and it's about sort of what they watch online, and Andrew Tate and incels and stuff. So he kills a young girl. And that's one of the weird things, is that it focuses on him and his family and the consequences, but not the victim's family very much. But the big wanky thing about it is that they all do they're an hour-long episodes, and they're all filmed in one shot for an hour. And you go, that's hugely impressive. And then you go, why did you do that? I mean, it's hugely impressive, but it's my father used to say, like a dancing elephant. You go, that's really... Okay.
It's impressive to see,
but before, but what's the point of it?
And that'd be so annoying if you missed the take as well.
Yeah. Well, how many times they rehearsed it, I do not know. I mean, it was hugely. There was, an hour long, and a couple of them were kind of basically interviews and two-handers and stuff. But they did go out, and there were crowd scenes, and there were extras and blah blah blah. And you think the coordination of that is amazing. But it's become one of those things that the government are talking about, and when the government talks about something, you go, no, this is So it's all about young men and toxic masculinity and social media not taking responsibilities. And I learned things about what emojis mean.
Yes.
Somebody was being bullied, and Stephen Graham was in it, and he's great and everything, of course. Yeah. But I don't know if you and Catherine would.
No, I mean, stuff I find
4 hours of it too.
Yeah, and it'd be sad at the end of it as well. And I'm already, I have enough anxiety about what the future holds when my kids are a bit older, and where social media is going now, and I don't even want to think about it. And that'll just...
What age are they? Are they
7 and 4? So they're still
don't
only...
have phones yet, do they?
Well, no, the eldest one has an iPad for schoolwork,
right?
But she can send sort of texts to me, and just me, Catherine, and her granny and granda, really. Right. But I had to speak to her the other day, because she rang me on it to say, "Can you put my breakfast out for me?" I was like, no. If you want to speak to me, you get up off your arse, you come in and you go, "Can we go down and we'll get you sorted." You're not summoning me for your iPad and sending me and like. I just sort of thought that even that's a bit much, but because so much of the work in school now is done using like wee puzzles and games and things, that you have to, now it's all connected through my phone, and I can see if she's downloading anything or whatever, and but I just, even at that, I'm going, that's where it's got scary.
It is.
And you just try, want your kids to be as civil and as nice and be kind and whatever else, but
Well, again, yeah. I mean, the thing about adolescence is everybody's talking about it. So it's on Radio 4. They're doing an hour-long debate about sort of stroking their chins and worrying about Andrew Tate and toxic masculinity and stuff. And you go,
there's definitely, but then it's like I think there's so much of that going on. The likes of Andrew Tate, like, I struggle. And now there obviously are people out there, but I struggle to fathom how anybody can not go, he's a twat.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, how do you? And then I suppose you have more people like the Trumps and the Conor McGregors. And
the Conor McGregors.
And it's just, and you don't know what
they've
what
normalised that sort of
but it's
male arrogance and stupidity and
it's and I suppose we
get
all
what I
have
want.
have to talk about it. But I watched you're speaking there about a bit of stand up. I saw a clip of a Jon Stewart interview, and it was great. It was about, he was speaking to a Republican senator, I think, and he was asking him about this senator was, we're going to try to ban drag queens reading to kids. We've got to protect the kids. It's important we protect the kids. And he was like, so you're saying, and he goes, well, it's a freedom, it's a choice of the parents. We don't want them to have to make that choice. It's an issue, it could damage the kid. No, I haven't. And he goes, let me ask you something else. See, what's the biggest cause of death in children in America? He goes, I suppose you're going to say gun crime. He says, no, it's not an opinion. It's a it's a fact. More than cancer, more than road accidents, gun crime.
Yeah.
Why don't you ban guns? He goes, so you don't want to protect children then, do you?
Yeah.
And the guy was sort of, and it's such a fair point. It's just people get so worried and wound up about the wrong thing sometimes. Stuff that you're just going, and that's where we end up in this. And then this culture, I feel like I would say I'm a fairly liberal guy, but I'm very open to jokes and everything else, and I do still think, yes, you have to have a sense of humour and laugh at some things as well, but if you take everything too seriously, you're going to end up clashing all the time with everyone. It's a bit much.
Yeah, I mean, the whole cancel culture thing is there's a bit of it been exaggerated. I've never had any problem there saying anything on stage or afraid of it anything on stage, and people. The trouble is people taking themselves too seriously. Yeah. Whether objecting to jokes or saying I'll say whatever the fuck I want.
But then
crossing lines in terms of racism or sexism, or you go, well, you're not being funny. You're just being provocative. That can happen. I
had a bit actually at the weekend there where I was doing stand up, and I was doing a bit about how wives are much more intelligent and smarter than husbands. But the setup to get to that point is, and she was like, oh, and some woman shouted out something in the crowd about, like, I said, like, women, that's what I was talking about, me trying to, still be sexy for my wife. And I said, like trying to be sexy and put on sexiness, it's hard to do. And she went, women can still be sexy when they're older. And I was like, stay with me. And then when I got round, I got a big round of applause. I said, yes, love when that happens. But it was like, sometimes people hear the word or hear the topic and go, no, not it.
I don't want to hear this.
Like when I did a joke about...
a setup for a joke. Let them finish the game.
I did a joke about it's a joke about the... when people take on causes. Now, you see a lot of it now. Like, people decide to do things but it's to get, clout online themselves. Like, we're doing this for this cause. Like running a marathon for Tiny Life, which you can donate in the link below. But it was a whole thing. Like, I just seen on one day, and I remember saying that to Catherine, it was someone she knew was doing some like sponsored swimming skinny dip, but it was for Palestine. Now, there's organisations within there that I don't know, like for the entire country. This is what, like, there's about 6 of them. So like, how much money are they going to raise? So I was going, what's this going to do? Is this what they need all the time? So I did a joke about that, but I did it in a very staunchly Republican area. And even when you say that phrase, it's like,
yeah. No, anything about Israel Palestine is kind of taboo, really. I did a fairly harmless joke, I thought. I thought about having a DNA test and finding out a tiny percent of me is Sephardic Jewish. So that and the joke was, I was already the victim of anti-Semitism because there were 2 dressing rooms, and the manager said, "Which one would you like to occupy?" Yeah. And again, people went, and you go, "Whoa! I haven't even touched that."
But no, I actually remember that, and seeing you do that a couple of times, and you do get people going, and then whenever they go, oh, actually, you know what, that's fine, I get it, it's funny, you get some, but and do you think there is a responsibility on comedians, or do you think if the intention is, you know, that's okay? Do you think if the intention is in the right context is important, or do you?
Yeah, I mean, tension is important. I mean, but I mean, the bottom line is to try and be funny. I mean, the situation in the Gaza Strip is not terribly funny. It's not ripe for humour. But you can talk about it on the fringes, and you can talk about things around it. I mean, that's the same as the Troubles. I mean, when we did the Troubles stuff, I mean, the only rule we ever had was you can't talk about a specific incident where somebody's been killed, because that's not funny.
Yeah.
But you can talk about the motivations behind it, the organisations behind it, the political response to things. You can do all of that, and if you can, got to be funny about it, but you got to be funny about it.
Yeah. Because I'll tell you after this about it. But there was a gig I was at not long ago, and someone did a joke, and it was like, and I sort of went, I can see, and you could see two people in the front row just go, and there was, and they got up and left, and I was like, I can see why, you know, because I'm going, yeah, that joke, and I mean, it was an okay, like, and I'm going, I don't think the punchline or the payoff is worth doing it. I would be sort of going, I wouldn't do that one again, you know. But, you know, I think you see that, and then it's when I suppose a lot of newer acts maybe don't know what, and then sometimes you see people come on and say things, you go, oh, Jesus. So, even I'm a bit, but...
There's a joke I do that I've been criticised for, and rightly, but it still goes down very well, and the intention behind it is, well, it's a joke about how we still have stupid rows about anthems here at football matches. I said the Northern Ireland women, for the first time ever, stood for the Soldier Song they played the Soldier Song at Windsor Park for the first time ever, and then there was another women's football match, and Michelle O'Neill stood for the first time ever, respectfully for God Save the Queen. So women's football matches, they're saying respectfully. I said, what does that prove? Children would have always known women know fuck all about football, you see, which is it's a joke, but you don't expect that. But at the same time, people go, oh, you don't respect women's football. I love women's football. I love Marissa Callahan. I support women's football. It's clearly a mucking joke, but at the same time, a bit of me goes, are people going to take me seriously and think I don't really respect women's football, or I think women don't understand? Of course they understand football. I know it. I think, and it merits it, you know, because people do. People get it, and then you go, oh, are men maybe laughing at that because they think that I think that women's football is shit or whatever? Because I don't think that.
But then I think you just hit the nail on the head too. There maybe people just overanalyze everything.
Yes,
you know, it's like you say, like, well, women's football now. I would go to more Northern Irish women's football matches these days because Holly loves to go see it. And her favourite player is Jackie Burns. Shout out to Jackie. She's,
Marissa Callahan, Cliftonville captain.
She's retired now. She's retired now, but a legend of the game. But yeah, and it's great, you know, and that's it. And I think that's maybe the thing that, like, we got into a bit of controversy not so long ago on a clip. Again, it was on Facebook and not on the other channels, but it was a bit. I was on a podcast chatting, and it came up about it all started being Andrew Ryan was on it with me, and we're chatting about going to. He was on a trip, and the tour guide was Swedish, and Shane alluded to the stereotype that Swedish women are beautiful, whatever. And Andrew said, "Oh no, she was old." And my response was, "Excuse me, what can older ladies not be beautiful, Andrew?" You know. And then we used the word MILF, which is from, you know, mothers. I'd like them. And he went, "Like your wife?" I was like, "What?" And then he's like, "Oh yeah, you're what?" And I said, "Do you know what that means, Andrew? You know what that word stands for? Like what you're saying to me is basically." And he went, "Yeah, she's a mother like the fuck." And I was like, "Oh wow!" I'm taken aback, not by what he was saying, but the fact that it was, you know, so brazen to say something like that. Like if he meant it, it would be completely out of pocket. But that all started a whole big thing, and it was just going, no, he's someone I'm friendly with. You know, he's friendly with Catherine. Yes. They know each other. Yes. We know it's a joke. Yes. It's not like, and then it was like just people like, no, but this sort of talk. And I was like, it's not like, I wouldn't be a big like locker room chat guy, you know. So for that, I'm like, guys, no, this is not, you know. And people are saying, well, if his daughter saw him laughing at his mother like that, I'd be like, well, the daughters know what their parents are like, and they'll have a sense of humour, you know. So it was
context
just
is everything as well. Podcast, where are you and who you're with and stuff like that. It's not kind of.
I know, but it was just like, you know, and then you don't need it on a random Tuesday when you're going about your business and be like, what do you think about this? Why'd you say that? I'm like, oh no, I'm just oh dear. But anyway, I'm going to go and let you go. But we have a couple of questions. The people have reacced out. And
people have reached out.
They're going to say, now Tim knows what hip hop got. No, but no, that. I mean, you know what? I think we'll have probably educated a few people on hip hop and rap,
including me. Yeah.
So I think we'll call the episode "The Origins of Rap" or something. But a couple now, someone has alluded to the fact that this is a little bit of a crap question. So. You know what? I'll still ask it out of respect that they had the awareness to know. Right. It was pretty generic, but sorry for the cliche question. What would Tim McGarry's death row meal be? So a starter, a main course, a dessert, and some drinks. You're allowed, I'd say, an alcoholic drink and a soft drink if you want, or you can.
I don't know about the starter. I'd certainly have lamb chops, roast potatoes, and asparagus.
So then, when they kill you, your pee would stink as well if they did the firing squad.
Just annoy them.
Get them.
Ice cream for dessert from Rossi's on the Antrim Road.
Is that good? I've never heard
or
of
the
Rossi
Broadway in
before.
Newcastle. Yeah, best vanilla ice cream ever. Starters.
Do you like a vanilla? I was just a straight no.
Oh yeah.
Don't mix
No,
it up.
I
Okay.
don't like chocolate ice cream at home. And then I have a bottle of Chateau Moussard from Lebanon. Chateau Moussard. Can't remember what year. Somebody used to tell me what year it is, but there's a very nice Chateau.
Well, I mean,
Moussard
we
red wine.
wine connoisseurs listen to this, so they'll be straight in the comments pointing it out.
A pint of that for death row.
And would you have any? Would you have another pint? Would you have a Guinness before you go? Or
Oh yeah, I like
you
a
can have
Guinness.
that, you can have
Yeah,
a Guinness
I like
too.
a Guinness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is
I
there
don't know how
anywhere?
it's firing squad. What probably did you say?
But you can it depends.
Can
You can choose. I
you
think
can
'cause
choose?
there was a serial killer who was, I think, amongst his other follies,
Yeah.
he also was a little bit thran, and he said, "I want you to
Oh,
kill
that
me
was
by
Mr.
firing squad."
Gilmore, was it not? It was a famous case in the 70s that a punk band used to do a song about.
It could have
Looking
been.
into
Yeah, and he said, yeah.
Gilmore's eyes. I'm just looking
But-
through someone's eyes.
But yeah,
And he
'cause
demanded to be shot by firing squad and went to the
sort of to
courts
clean
and
him
all.
up, yeah. And that was him. You have to make a mess and clean me up. And I was like, oh, that's belligerent, and I like it, you know. But yeah, if on that note, well, if you were to choose, would you I would just go straight, inject me, go, let's go.
Yeah, injection's probably best in it, you know.
Yeah, because I have too much of a big, thick skull. It'd need a lot to electrocute me. You'd be there too long. It'd be vulgar for everyone. The place would smell like Denny sausages. It'd be awful. And then hanging, you'd need an impressive
Oh no,
gallows
no,
and
you
rope
need
for
you
me.
need a strong rope there.
You need to be the industrial level. You need to do me off Samson or Goliath to, have any impact on my head.
But I was a big fan of George Orwell in 1984. The worst way to die ever would be eaten by rats.
Yeah.
I would hate that. That would be absolute torture.
Yeah.
Firing squad would be alright if you've got somebody who knows what they're doing.
Then you might end up with someone like a Mr. Bean type. I'm messing it be awkward. But there wasn't there one who went through the courts in America. They didn't administer the injection right, and he didn't die.
Yeah.
And he's going, well, I've had the injection. That was my punishment. I've lived. You can't do anything. And then there was another one that had died from something but came back. They resuscitated him, and he was like, oh,
Well,
technically you've been put to death and I'm back. So I think he lost the case, but it was
Really?
It was,
Yeah.
There's some wee loopholes.
well, I
that
think
are-
you wouldn't have to be that smart a lawyer to go. We're trying to put you to death, and that's the punishment. Not being put to death does not mean you've been put to death.
You will be put to death twice. But I think just no, I'm not going to get into death penalties and thoughts on it. It's too much for nowadays.
No, don't do that.
Let's see what Dean says. Dean says he's asking a couple of questions. Oh, right, okay. This one you can, and then we'll go for the double up. What does Tim think of the current comedy scene in the last 10 years and the majority of changes? Have you noticed, if any, within the last years?
100%, yeah. Particularly the last 10 years has been amazing. As the podcasting world has just changed everything completely. And funny, we have our own podcast now because we finally entered the 21st century with Give My Head podcast, and we interview a lot of comedians, actors, and politicians as well.
Still not me with him, but that's fine.
22nd, you're on. I haven't told you yet.
All right.
But I mean, it's just exploded. I mean, when I started, when I was a lad, there was the Empire Comedy Club run by Jackie Hamilton. He had one in Derry in the Delacroix. And then I think at one stage he had one in Galway at the same time, and that was early 90s. Well, when did Empire start? 92, 93, 94?
That's
like
like
that.
30 years. 30 years or 40 years. 30
Yeah,
years
but there
or
wasn't
something.
much until recently, really up until, Kane Todd and there were boys bubbling under, and there were very, very, very few people making a living at comedy. And now, there's throw a stone, you'll hit. You go online and there's gigs every hole in the hedge in the country, and it's great to see. I mean, the next while I'm doing dailies in Oma. I'm doing a couple in Derry. I'm doing one in the Maldron Hotel in Derry. I'm doing one in the Beehive in the Falls Road. I'm doing one here, there, and everywhere. You go,
Yeah, no, it's great. That's it. But And one other question, probably: do you think it's sustainable, or do you think there'll be an inevitable little bit of a dip, or what?
It's interesting. We were on tour with Give Me Head Peace, and we did all right. We still hold up our audiences all over the place. Don't know whether that's because we started the podcast or not. But I think that the one theatre manager said some of the big acts are still doing very well, but the sort of second division, third division acts, he said they're not selling as well, and there's a possibility that the bubble will burst. But there's still a very lively sort of club scene. Where was the other place? Like Madden's Bar. It was 40 people in the thing. It was lovely.
Well, it's a good fun place in
That's
there.
a lovely room. Yeah.
It's a great spot.
So I'm very pleased that I kind of hang around with something to do. I did when I was doing before I did my solo show. I did a couple of nights in Lavery's. I was definitely the oldest person there by about 30 years, but the crack was good. You know, and they kind of I think that people go, if it's funny, it's funny. You know.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like I think there was always maybe whenever we were maybe starting, there was maybe a bit of a feeling that maybe people didn't sort of like work with each other, or there wasn't sort of the same thing. Whereas I think everyone's now there seems to be more openness, and everyone's working together across whatever. And like you say, if it's funny, and it's great to be part of it.
I mean, I'm sure you can overplay that and say everybody loves one another, everybody wants to get on, and you know, there's lots of people. You know, there's there was. Lovely fella called Sean Crummy, late Sean Crummy, beautiful impressionist. I don't know if you remember him from Folks in the Hill and
I
stuff.
do. Actually, used to work with his brother,
great.
John.
Lovely guy. And he genuinely sat in the wings and wanted you to do well. And I do that to genuinely enjoy comedy. But at the same time, you go, fuck's he selling out in the SSE Arena? And I can only sell 200 tickets to such and such. And that's, part of you goes, well, do you know what? You just accept it and go.
Yeah. And then you just put it down to the audience. Nothing is queer.
Yeah, no, people are idiots.
And the last question, who does Tim hate Cliftonville losing to the most?
Genuinely Dungannon Swifts. Genuinely Dungannon Swift. A, because we're playing them in the final on May the 3rd, but B, they ruined our season 2 seasons ago. We were flying high in the league and we were flying high in the cup, and they put us out two weeks in a row, and they're not even that good a team.
The Irish Cup, you're in the final now. I haven't not won it in how many years? Now you're in 2 in a row?
Yeah, well, I had 45 years. 79.
And you've got that tattoo of Hale on your back now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What a man. Yeah. That's unbelievable.
That'll be a big day out for Mr. McGarry then.
It will, the 3rd of May.
3rd of May, and then the 4th of May we're running the marathon, so you can bring it down below. So
is it the marathon?
You can still be out. You can come and cheer us on.
I've got a feckin' gig on the 4th of May. I just didn't know the Northwest 200 bike. Jeez, I'm up in the Northwest.
Oh wow! Listen, that's been exciting for you one too. Well, Tim McGarry, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Where do you get this wonderful Sly Guy?
This merch, you can follow the link in the description. You can get it. Yes, and as I said in the introduction, I said it was a bit creased, but it's ironed on. So there we go.
Dave, always a pleasure, my
friend.
friend.
Pleasure, Tim. Thank you very much.
I'm the sly guy.